We're going to discuss the fact that the interface between your own heart and soul and that which has traditionally been termed God. And there is a God of the universe, but God actually is God. And today's empowerment session is to remove the difference that we might perceive in our own conscious awareness of reality from that which truly is God. And there is a God of the universe. And how obvious would it be that the reality of such would be that it is endlessly more beautiful and precious and transcendent and spiritual, if you will, than people believe. That's why the monks in the mountains have traditionally sat in deep prayer and meditation for hours or days or weeks or years. I have many, many friends that still do that. And they might be a practicing psychiatrist or a luminary of some sort, or run their own schools in different ways, and but they'll spend 8 hours a day just like nothing, and they literally disappear. There is a transcendent reality because there is a God. So in erasing the dividing line between ourselves and the actual God is today's mission for us. We have to, they would say, center yourself, become quiet. When I work with people who have serious psychological or emotional or especially spiritual problems, and when they're really spiritual, then it's very easy for me because the dividing line between God and the person and me as the instrument disappears, and I can speak directly. Ask anyone who empowers people spiritually or is a great teacher. It could be an acting coach, it could be Master G here as a martial arts teacher, it could be anyone, and people have this certain gift in a certain area, and today's area is consciousness itself. And that will divest us of all of our problems, all of our fears, all of our wants or needs. There is a higher way of understanding perception. Understand? I'm using very direct words. Forget all the interposition of politics, sociology, forget your family structure, everything else. Just, there is an isness. And it's as grounding as the floor of the ocean. It just is, and it's always there no matter what happens. And there is an ocean of light. I don't know what to call it. It's literally like the sun when you're there. Ask any one of your friends, or everyone's had it for moments in their life at least, of this ecstatic, glorious experience of the divine presence. Haven't you? Could be in a moonlight walk with the one you love, where you know, in the beginning of a love relationship, romance, you're holding hands and you trust each other, and you're willing to go further with this. It's in the heart and soul, not the body, but you're all of a sudden you're divulging things that are like secret to you. You feel comfortable with this person's presence, so you're going to open up. I had this happen, or whatever, or I divorced my whatever, or and you're talking from the heart because you feel safe, right? Because you're generating that divine presence that brings lovers together. But it's more than romance. It's more than integrity. It's more than power. It's more than influence. It's more than happiness. It's more than grace or decency. It's more than brilliance or intelligence or genius. It's more powerful. Than a Death Star. You know, a Death Star falling in within itself, and it's so powerful. The weight of all the stars around it, or all the planets, just is sucked into it, and it's a very large one. Then it actually implodes so much that the light, the power of gravity of it imploding, is more powerful than light. So it sucks the light into it, the light itself. You understand? An inch of matter of the sun, it would be like a mountain as far as weight because of the compression of it. But this thing we call God, and this is not from something I've read, and all my spiritual friends that have felt that, you simply feel it, and there are no words for it, but it's God's presence. The point being made right now is all the thoughts we have about religion, society, right and wrong, they're gone. In the first instant of this momentous experience that you'll all have, and that most of us have had. Could have been when you're 7 years old after a sun shower and the clouds are disappearing and there's a joy in the air and you just feel free. And that moment was much bigger than our whole life, right? In spiritual terms. And if you could recapture that second of your first kiss with someone you love, or the stars in the sky. Remember when everything wasn't lit up, there were too many lights everywhere, and you could see the lushness of all these thousands of firefly-like flickering stars in the sky, that kind of golden yellow and flickering, and you're engulfed by it. You just have to stare. Imagine seeing the actual God. Forgive this word, I use it all the time. I should sit down and think about it. And I have in books I've written about this, that everything of God is infinitely more beautiful, more wondrous, more human, which is a point in this talk, that God is a human presence. The universe is you, your presence. Once you've transcended this world, you've learned to listen, to cooperate with the teachers, as I call them, the angels, whatever, and in the beginning, just remember a visitation of your grandmom or whatever, and like extrapolate that out to the fact that none of this in this world, I understand everything about it, I could explain it, but people want to come and listen to me, want to discuss politics or religion with me, I can't do it. It was missing the point. And there is a point. It's being quiet. It's very easy to do. In many of these videos I've talked about, being able to listen to someone. You'll make someone so happy if you could quiet yourself and listen to them and never make it about yourself. Most of my friends, they all make that mistake. Then I had such and such experience. If you can listen to someone, you'll make that person completely happy. I'm not saying listen to some idiot that's drinking and about the game, or I'm saying when you have that special moment with someone, quiet yourself and you can begin asking them about their schoolwork, you see? And they'll feel you. They'll know it. They'll feel safe. Like with a mom with a little child. If you really listen to people, it's forget what I'd call it, but there was like, if a child hurt their knee and they started to cry, you say, "Oh, what happened?" And you have the kid try to demonstrate how they fell and hurt their knee, and then after once or twice trying it, they'll drop it because the emotional, psychological shock of it will be gone. So I did it with people, and then you think you shot so-and-so. I dealt with combat veterans, and one guy thought he shot the wrong person in the middle of a great gun battle, and in the back of his mind it was stuck. So I just listened, whatever, and all of a sudden that popped up in the middle of something, and I realized, you don't think about it, you sense it in the lightest way, that was what was bothering him. And as soon as he let that go and realized, oh, maybe he didn't, or maybe it didn't happen that way, you see. In combat there's tremendous conditions. So the main thing is not that, but that this young man got to express something that gave him a sense of guilt for, this was in the 90s, in the 60s, so 30 years earlier, and then he let go of it. And so if we let go of all this and know that everything in the world, everything that ever happened to you is wrong. Everything that makes you think you're this person in this world is wrong. When I say that, Robert Rosenberg, is not here. There's just this beauteous purity. There's a humanity to it that is God, the person of God. And when I work with people and they become very quiet, then that is God, when they're there and available to it, speaks to them and lets them know there's nothing wrong with them. They've done nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. It's a wonderful place to be, and it's the beginning of illumination. To know you have this friend that you can communicate with all day, every day. And I'm sure most of us have maybe someone in our heart and soul that we feel we can commune with, and we'll bring their name up now and then in our, in our reverie late at night or whatever, and we feel safe with that person. In the beginning, we might need affection and think about it as I could be affectionate with that person or whatever. But eventually you'll see that it's the soul. I have a friend, my teacher, 50 years ago, someone I met, that is so humble, so contrite, but brilliant and a genius, but never took a step into the world, even though she got a doctorate and so forth and so on, but because of intelligence, but had nothing to protect her from this world except humility. And when you come to the state of divine grace, you'll feel unimaginable. There's a quiet, there's a purity, there's a simplicity. A word like ecstasy begins to touch it, but it's the love touch of God. But it's all you, so all these words involve themselves with all the other words to try to describe something of endless purity. And you become that. It's more than all the thoughts of the world. Everything in the world conditions you to believe you're this person in this world. And you have to let go of everything. You'll feel so clean. If you have an actor, they might train themselves, someone says something, to not think. And they have a kind of a blank look, and that will look very powerful because there's no fear involved in a very powerful situation. And they're simply not thinking anything or feeling anything. So if you train yourself to not think or feel anything, you won't think or feel anything as far as reacting to this world. You'll stop being the person you seem to be, and you will find God looking out from your eyes. More importantly, from your heart, your soul. There's no separation whatever between you and that which traditionally has been called God. And there's so much literature, so much understanding, so many heartfelt experiences we have with reality that bring us to a deeper place and sphere of understanding about life. There are the heroes, and the whole point with meditation is to quietly, when you can, not think about anything, not react to anything. It's the most important thing you will ever have to do. And then at a point there'll be a very delicate sense of lightness, of grace, a very elegant perception of the universe at large. We've all had that for moments. And if we train ourselves to not react to anything, understanding there's a God behind it all, then that which God is will communicate with you, through you, to your friends and loved ones. It's a wonderful place to be. It's remarkable. It's more powerful than anything you'd ever dream. But you don't act it out on the worldly plane. You transcend to a higher place for which there could be no words, no thoughts, no feelings. When you're there, you can't even sense it. It's so wonderful. Does that make sense? It's infinite wonder, again, that word, because it is. It's been called a state of grace. And I today say it's a state of you, of being the natural, real inborn soul that you have, that you are. It's the original you. Before time or circumstance or places, before things before anything happens or seemed to happen. It just is. And you'll drop, and the more spiritual, artistic you are, the more you can understand these words, and I know all of us do. So just write it down in your own words somehow, somewhere, daily. Write down the 10 most spiritual experiences you had in your life on a piece of paper, knock it out, and all of a sudden you'll be in a free space beyond the thinking mind. And doors and windows and skylights and roofs will fly away from you, and you'll see him, the only God. And you, his very best friend. And again, those words take it back to the world, but it's not the world, it's the superstructure of eternity. It's the superstructure of you. What's being said is you are so much more remarkable and powerful and wonderful than you thought you were. And when you get here in this state of grace, where you belong, you'll realize at the time of birth, this world, it's like worlds in collision. It's on you to make you feel this or that, or give you a certain identity, or to excel in this area or that area. And I always felt bad, like my buddy here, I said, I'm glad you didn't become a professional football player or whatever, or do whatever in the Olympics. It was you, because you were not safe within yourself to become the human being and spiritual presence that you are. So things happen to all of us for different reasons, and it's all guided by God. Every millisecond, every trillionth of a second is allowed by yourself, which is God, by God, to be here at such and such a point in time, to learn certain things, and you learn them in order to ingratiate yourself to others, to teach them, to be an instrument. So I've gone through everything, and I can look, okay. But I always know it's because then I can free others from that, because I have the words, the thoughts, I see what they're going through. And so during a healing, or whatever you want to call it when I work with people, when they feel safe and free with me, then at a certain point, every answer, even the material things, can be answered. But I have very few friends like that these days, because everyone lives on their own TV show, I guess. But when you can get there, when you can get here, it's very nice to know God. It's very nice to know you. You're a flaming star of divine presence. Stop reacting to everything. And you'll realize that it's an experience. It's you. You are a divine presence. You've allowed yourself to appear in this hell for a very great reason. And you'll free everyone around you. Isn't that wonderful? And there's a great cost and price that you've taken on to do this. We all know the ugliness that surrounds us, that impedes our every footfall at times. I'm asking with all my heart and soul to allow this, that you truly are, to breathe. Make a stand here and there. You'll feel so wonderful, so decent, so kind, and remember that the whole world, the whole collection of it, is here to impede you, to stop you. The world hates you. It's real hate, and it's very, very, very subtle. I don't give it that much, but I have to explain it to people. There is nothing to make that very clear. Everything about the world is part of the disingenuousness about it. It's set up to make you think it's real. So when I work with people and they let go of their case, and then at a point I can directly be an instrument of the Almighty, and then transfuse them with that, and they're the instrument, and God will always tell them what a wonderful, remarkable soul they are for having withstood all this and still have a sense of grace and decency and humanity. I work with a friend who's he's more spiritual than I am, and he's gone through every unnatural, horrible thing in life that you could ever dream has come about him, and inundates his life all day, every day, for decades, and he's still of kind intent. He's a saint. I'm not. I'm some guy who was given this to do. So with someone like that, you can generate all the grace of God, and that person's life has been healed in some weeks, couple months of many, many decades of hell that would be astonishing to hear. Real horrible stuff. When you're with someone that has that kind of spiritual presence, free them, listen to them, and invite them to speak of their spiritual relation to God, to the universe, to eternity. Allow them to be free to be who they are. Let's free one another through kindness and care and decency, through being quiet. If a Hollywood actor could do it, we could do it. You know what I just said. But this isn't acting. This is God. Please free your mind, your heart, your soul. There's nothing wrong with you. You did this of your own volition. You are a hero in heaven. It's all in perception, and you'll sense the eyes of all the angels. What do you call it? It's so beautiful. My buddy Greg could probably explain it in artistic words. He's an artist, but it's just wonderful to be you. And I'm begging you to let go of the world. Please, for your mom's sake, for the sake of those you love. And as you free yourself, you'll realize how many people do love you, care about you, or were there for you in certain ways, but we're all constricted by this force of the world that we call the devil. I laugh because I'd rather be on the mountaintop somewhere and enjoy the sunset. Wouldn't you? This is true happiness, to be yourself. Please be yourself. Understand you're here. You're a spiritual presence. You allow yourself to be constricted with all this garbage and through the trajectory of birth, of being born here. That's how you get into this sphere, and then you smacked on the bottom and you cry, and like that's what the welcome you get. It's like that's what this is, and it never stops. And you did it because you could see that other presences were, you couldn't understand it. You could never understand it because you give up infinity to be here. Infinity, but there's an unimaginable intelligence with it. It's not, there's nothing human you can think about it, except the beautiful things, childbirth, this or that. You want to, it's a couple of spiritual friends here, Donna. It's just, Jessica, is just grace, pure grace. Your lives, your marriages might not be totally right at times. It's all, when you understand the words being said today, to stop reacting to anything and everything, you'll burst within yourself like 1,000 stars. It's just wonderful, this place of spirituality. Just to read a little bit of the spiritual lives of the Walt Whitmans, the Emily Dickinsons. There's 10,000 other writers I've read, bought their books over the years. I always do that, and whatever. Mysticism fills the air. If you're of this intent, then life takes on magical proportions. And when you battle the dark forces, it'll be pretty impressive to you. I always laugh because the first 3 months when you get your awakening, after that you're going to see the dark force coming at you, and it'll make itself known. You know that this is real evil coming at me. And if you know to just give it nothing, then you own it. And then you'll pull it away from the lives of your friends, your neighbors, your loved ones. You are a force to be contended with, but nothing wrong with you. Being born in the world is the trap. I'm just cutting through all the morass of details and just be here. Again, if a Hollywood actor can do it, and I'm sure every actor can do it, don't think anything about it. Don't react whatsoever to whatever it is, and then the audience will read whatever they want to and do it, whatever the director wants it to, and this is about infinite intent towards spiritual illumination, enlightenment, nirvana, the beatific vision, the vision of God. It's you. Look nowhere else. If you're in touch with God, wouldn't it be that simple? Of course. It's that simple. I've joked here about when I'm South Philly growing up, 13th and Locust, I go behind garbage cans. I was dressed Friday night to go out. I was a teenager, 17, 16, 19, whatever it was. Oh, I guess I was already gone then. Because it was a quiet, safe place, no one would see me, because your sensibilities when you're here is just so wonderful. It's called nirvana, enlightenment. Most of all, it is you. It's your natural state. You gave that up to be here in this hell. Understand that, don't react to it, figure it out quickly. If you can find a spiritual friend or two in your life over the next couple months, give this to them here and there. Doesn't mean you even have to be friends, you just have to give that when it opens up, and it will open up, because I say it will open up. And when you're with someone, you're working with them, tell them what will be done, and I will do it. God will do it for you. It's time. It's a labor of love. You take a lot on, and you get nothing out of it from the world. You see what I'm saying? Everything about you will be transcendent of the world. Because you're not the world, you're this, not that. You're beautiful, you're wonderful, you're kind, you're true, you're dear, you're intelligent. God knows. I say that because we question ourselves all of our life, and that's what this is about. It's an empowerment session. Stop questioning, and you'll see how many people do love you and care about you. And you'll understand how this force is working on you around the clock to prevent you from being successful, whatever that is. You see what I'm saying? And the only success is illumination, is enlightenment, is accepting your place in the long line of succession of those who have been illumined. It's your time now. Work with me and I'll work with you, and your friends will work with you, and we'll work together. We'll work with this transcendent purity, and we'll fold this all up very quickly. It need not be. And forget all the thoughts about the world. That's the trap again. Let's let this happen. You've paid for it, haven't you? God bless your soul. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Skolton.